Hello everyone! Welcome to my new office! Back on the road. Finally. It's going to be a beautiful day in Melbourne today, so I decided to get my act together and get out for a ride. I'm not sure where we're going today. I'm actually meeting up with the CF Moto and someone who will be riding it, obviously. And we're just going to go for a blast out, get something to eat. We might go for some rides somewhere else, but yes, we're back on the VFR. Obviously, no one's really seen it yet, so here she is. Still naked, of course. I've only polished half the bike at the moment, but I'm sick of waiting. I want to ride this thing so much. It is so much fun. It is quite a bit different to anything I've ridden before. It's all been going well since I rebuilt it. Just one issue with a brake line, which was a little bit loose and was leaking a little bit, so I fixed that up, and everything else is perfect. But it's been a hell of a process getting this thing ready. I've had to replace so much stuff on this bike. It's been ridiculous, and it's not so much the bike, it's more the previous owner who left it sitting in a shed for 10 years, and all the rubbers and everything just wore away. They just sit there and dry up, and there's nothing left when you go to ride the bike. So anyone who's wondering what I've done to the bike, the brake calipers have been rebuilt, all of them. The brake lines are gone, braided lines are fitted, new brake pads, sintered EBC brake pads. So we have the Delcovic stainless exhaust, we have ceramic coated headers, we have new gaskets all the way around, new levers, obviously. We have new spark plugs, new oil, new air filter, new oil filter, new suspension. Everything's been rebuilt in the suspension. It looks stock, but it's actually all been revalved and rebuilt internally and modified. Yeah, so other than that, which is a lot, haven't done anything else really. I got a new front tyre fender because that one's pretty far gone. I managed to get a new one for $150 from Honda, and also a new rear seat cover, so that's done. And we also have a new fuel tank cap from Vortex V3. Love this cap, it's fantastic. Easy installation. It was actually one of the few products that I installed on this bike where everything went perfectly. The biggest problem with this bike was the linked brakes. They are a freaking nightmare. You have 2 bleed valves per caliper, plus 1 on the bike, so that's 7 points you've got to bleed to get the air out of the system, which just is a freaking pain in the ass. And the brake system was destroyed on this bike. There was so much crap in it. So I had to strip everything. I had to rebuild the slave master cylinders. I had to, as I said, rebuild all the calipers. Had to just tear everything apart. But it all paid off. Everything is working. Obviously, the wheels have been repainted as well. I'm not sure if you noticed from the previous video, they're nice gloss black now. The tyres are brand new. They are Michelin Pilot Power 3s. Very nice tyres. Still bedding them in a little bit. They're almost there, so we can start leaning this puppy over. The exhaust is ridiculous, as you've heard in my previous video. It's about as close to a hot rod as you can get. It is nuts. Probably one of the best sounding bikes I've ever heard, and that's above an Aprilia. I mean, the Aprilias sound great, but this thing's got a much deeper growl. It sounds older, it sounds old school. The idle of it is ridiculous. It's really lumpy. It sounds like it's got a big cam in it. And then you got the whine of the cam gears. It's just amazing. And on the overrun, it just whines like there's no tomorrow. It is one of the... I know why everyone says it. It is one of the great bikes. I mean, once you put an exhaust and everything on it, it completely changes the bike. It actually gets an amazing character, which it just doesn't have in factory form. It still handles well, but it doesn't excite you until you put an exhaust on it, and an air filter, because the intake raw on this thing is crazy. But yeah, so we're going out for a ride today. Going to meet up with a CF Moto, see where we end up. Oh, almost forgot. A new rear sprocket, gold chain. That's a heavy duty chain. The sprocket is 2 teeth bigger, so we've got better gearing. The speedometer is not accurate. I have a speedo healer on here, but I have not set it properly yet. So we're just going to wing the speedo for today, because I just want to get out and ride. It's just crazy. It's going to be fun. And for anyone who doesn't know, I am recording this on the GoPro Hero 4 Black. It's been a pain in the ass to set up. I finally got the skeleton housing for it. Finally got the microphone adapter, which I had to buy separately, which is great. And plugged the microphone adapter in, went to start recording, and the camera just started freezing constantly. Good software development from GoPro. So I had to get a firmware update to use the microphone port on the camera. And not to mention the GoPro app was crashing and freezing and losing connection almost constantly. So the jury's still out if that's actually fixed, or if I'm just talking to myself at the moment and the camera's frozen. Let's hope for the former. So anyway, we're going to go for a ride. We're going to enjoy this hot rod of a machine. The suspension is really good. It's not dialed in yet. It's a bit jiggly. I probably asked for it to be a bit too sporty. The idle on this bike is crazy. Listen to that lump. It's actually not idling high enough. It needs to come up just a smidge. But everything on this bike's manual. There's no... it hasn't even got an automatic choke for the starting. That came in the model after this. But in return, I don't have a catalytic converter, so I can legally have no cat on this bike, which is great. But the gear is just, oh. I love it. Let's go for a ride. Tell you straight away, it's probably overall not as quick as the MT-09. I would say it's faster in the top end, but down low it doesn't have the flat torque curve that the MT-09 has. It's actually got a bit of a... You've got to rev this engine to get torque out of it. It is happy to poodle around at low revs, but it won't accelerate rapidly from low revs. So you'll sort of whine on the power, and then all of a sudden it just gets over the hill and it just fucking screams. And the noise that comes with it is just... it's like God. There it goes. It just eggs you on to go quick, this bike. Suspension's very firm. Oh my God. apologies for the wind noise, and if the camera angle's not perfect, I'm still setting everything up on the helmet again because everything's all messed up. Had to set up the mount differently on the GoPro and just all sorts of shit. I'll tell you what though, even for an old bike, it's got everything on here. It just doesn't look as modern. It's got internal temperature, external temperature. It's got 2 trip computers. It's got a digital fuel gauge. And this is from '99. So if your bike doesn't have that now, you've got to ask yourself why it doesn't have it. If they had it in '99. If anyone's wondering, the brakes on this bike are freaking astonishing. They're amazing. I mean, I hate the combined braking system in practice, like having to fix it up. When it works though, Jesus, you can stand on the brakes on this thing and they give you so much confidence. The bike just stays planted on the ground, doesn't just dive into the front. That's also done to the suspension as well, because it's got anti-dive modifications done to the forks. But, oh, wow, it's amazing. We're going to get some jungle juice. If I can find a pump. Anyway. Nothing but the best for my bike. Anyway, we will be back after these short messages. So a few people have asked me why I chose the VFR 800. Because, you know, being an older bike, everyone thinks it's worse and whatnot, but this bike's actually got a lot of things going for it. It's cheap. Well, this one was low kilometers. It has a bulletproof engine, ignoring the electrical problems that they have. The engine is solid. You've got a large fuel tank. It's got a huge range. I think it's 22 litres or something. So yeah, you can go a long way on a tank. It's got good power. It is a bit porky on paper, but it doesn't feel heavy. It feels really light. It feels pretty similar to pretty much any other bike I've had. And now that I've adjusted the suspension and sort of dropped the front end a little bit, it's dropping into corners a lot better now. I mean, you can't say it hasn't got enough power. I mean, yeah, we're sitting on 100 indicated, which we're not doing, so don't even bother saying I'm speeding. But we're turning 4,000 RPM at the moment. I think we're doing about, I don't know what we're doing. I give up. But still got power. Happy to still accelerate. Feels great. Doesn't complain like a V-twin would. So if anyone's wondering what a V4 engine is like, it basically has the characteristics of a V-twin and an inline 4. So you get that sort of low-end torque. But then when you start revving the bike, it starts to come onto heat, and then all hell breaks loose basically. So you're getting the best of both worlds. Now, as a street engine goes, I think the MT-09's engine is better. It has more torque across the rev range. It has a flatter torque curve. That thing has torque everywhere. It doesn't feel like it has a torque curve as such. It just makes torque everywhere. And the torque just, it really starts to rise as you pass around 8 or 9,000, and that's when you're really on heat. But that's good. It means that it's a docile. Honda designed it well. It's a docile engine, but when you want the power, you rev it. You just keep it in the upper part of the rev range when you're riding, if you're in the mid-twisties, and you won't notice any low-end torque loss. But yeah, the MT-09's engine is great. They need to put it in a better chassis, like they need to. I reckon it should replace the R6 engine, because the R6 engine's a piece of shit. It's not a street engine, and I should say piece of shit. It's not being fair to people who own the bike, but it doesn't have enough torque down low for a street bike. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I know a lot of squids ride it, but you know, it's just not right for the street. It should be an MT-09 engine. They should tweak it a bit, give it more revs, like they did with Daytona, going from a street triple to a Daytona. Rev it to like 14 grand. Perfect engine. Don't need anything else. Maybe get it up to like 120 horsepower, 130 horsepower. That would be an amazing all-round bike. But yeah, this bike is so stable. I'm surprised, because I thought shit was going to go wrong with it, because I've done everything. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is I've done the steering head bearings as well. And getting those tensioned properly, because they're tapered bearings, was quite difficult. Because it's sort of a hit and miss, you're guessing what you're supposed to do. But this bike, because it's a bit heavier, it's solid. I'm one-handing it now and just cruising. And it feels a lot better at high speed. At 60 it feels a bit choppy, but it's feeling pretty good now. It's starting to soak the bumps up better. I need to play with the preload adjustments and whatnot. I just haven't had time. I've been more focused on getting used to the bike a little bit, bedding the tyres in. I've got to bed the brakes in still. I haven't done any hard stops. And making sure everything works before I put the fairings back on. But summer is upon us, and it is beautiful out here. Look how green it is. I love it. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll pick this up a little bit later. We're going to go for a ride in the hilly areas, get this bike revving a little bit maybe, and get something to eat. I'm freaking hungry. So we'll be back. I have to say, the two things that blow me away about this bike are the brakes at the moment and the noise. Handling still needs a bit of work. Got to play around with the adjustments and see if I can get it a bit better. Engine braking is good, very solid. I like engine braking. trying to get used to this throttle as well. Obviously it's all cable, there's no electronics, but it does still have a little bit of on-off snatchiness because I haven't done the airbox mods yet. So I've got to sort of try and stay on the power without lifting off. Which is, it's alright, usually. This bike is so agile. It just... fucking brakes are just astonishing. Wow, a kangaroo up here, that's really unusual. These tyres are amazing as well. They just feel so confident. It's hard to describe, you can just feel it. Bike just tips in so quickly. But yes, that's my favourite road done. Just a quick bash for the first time up there. But yes, that's sort of just a quick review of the VFR 800. I'm loving it. I can't believe you can pick up these bikes for $5 grand. It's just, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you could get one for $5 grand that is ready to ride, doesn't need any work done, you're set. I reckon it's a great bike if you're coming off your restrictions as well. I love the whine. Oh. Anyway, that's the VFR 800 and the GoPro Hero 4, which hasn't gone flat yet. We're doing well. I will be back with more videos very soon. The weather's good, the bike's past its first long, we've done 90k, so it's past its first long-ish range ride. So I'm happy to put everything back on it now and hit the road. So we will be back with more videos. Until next time.